Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order. At this time, if we could all rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
United States of America,
I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Which stands one nation, God, indivisible, liberty
And justice for all. Pledge allegiance. Thank you very much. So at this point, if Kristen, you could call roll call, please.
Bruce Angel. Tim Dean,
Here.
Mike Thomas. Mike, are you with us? I think he is. Look back. Jan Berg. Here. And Yvonne Van Nornum. All right.
That's all together. And I think Mike, I could hear him in the background when we were trying to recite that pledge. So we'll give him a few seconds when he jumps on, if we could make him in attendance as well, okay? So at this point, Chair requests a motion to approve the agenda.
move to approve the agenda.
Any
I'll
discuss-
second.
Any
sorry.
discussion? You're okay. No discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Great. So this evening, we're working on Arlington Planning Commission workshop on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. These items are for discussion. Today, we are going to have two items. Number one would be the Public Utility District Community Office Design Review, and that will be PLN number 816.
So yes, just so everyone's aware, it looks like we do have a number of members of the design team for this project on our call. So I'm going to go over the staff report and then allow for the applicant, if they have any additional comments they wish to provide, or if the commission has any questions for them directly, they could use that time for that. In that, the design review that we are discussing tonight is for Sonoma County PUD Community Office Building. This also includes the associated warehouse building, loading docks, covered parking, and heated storage building. And so this is located at their site that is at 17601 59th Avenue, which is adjacent to the current microgrid and Clean Energy Technology Center. In association with the Clean Energy Tech Center, this does have some similar elements because they are, again, part of the same BSP. And so they're incorporating those design elements throughout. Based off of the application that was submitted December 8th and the materials submitted February 22nd of 2021, staff provided these conditions: provide indirect light to sidewalk, below lighting elements in street environment like trees, walkways, canopies, and entryways, provide pedestrian scale lighting with 10 to 12 foot pole heights throughout residential shopping street areas, bollards that illuminate paths and walkways throughout parking areas. Exterior lighting shall be integral to the architectural and landscape design of any project. Fixture style design should be compatible with building design. Use lighting to accent architectural features. Locate and name parking lots and other site lighting so it does not cause glare or intrusive light patterns to neighboring properties. Provide clear, well-lit paths from parking areas to the street and highlight the entry with pedestrian scale distinctive lightings. As you can tell, this is mainly lighting focused because there wasn't any lighting provided on the design review or on the SUP when I re-verified earlier. So I just wanted to make sure these conditions were applied so that the lighting would be appropriate for this structure. I certainly trust the electric utility does want to include some lights on their project. So I just assumed because of the design phase of this project, they just weren't included at this time. So based off of that, staff is recommending with approval with conditions the Snowwich PUD Community Office PLN 816. And certainly looks like we have the architects as well as possibly Ben Davis. I don't know if either of you wanted to provide comments, and certainly just let us know if you need to be unmuted or anything like that.
Well, everybody, it looks like our guests today aren't open for comment. Do we have any questions for them at this time?
I do. Has there been any feedback on, the only one other than lighting that I saw of consequence was street access?
Yeah, so you're concerned about the driveways or the
Well, pedestrian.
pedestrian access? So yeah, there is a pedestrian path. I just wanted some lighting to highlight the entryway.
Okay.
So, yeah, please.
Can you go back to the
Let's see.
plan
There you go.
view?
Oh, it was, sorry. Let's see. So yeah, there's the,
Oh,
sorry, the Zoom window is right over where the pedestrian path is.
Here, I can move it.
But there is a sidewalk connection and the pedestrian path right there.
67th is
59th is on the west side.
59th, I mean, yeah. Okay, that's what I didn't, for some reason I didn't see that.
Yeah, it just can, I can understand with the rendering that it's just the angle they chose. Could be hard to see that sidewalk, but yeah.
From the elevation.
Correct.
So Commissioner Berg, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, and any more questions, Mr. Commissioner Angel?
Nope.
Okay, I've seen this one before, and I pretty much appreciated what I saw previously. I do think, of course, lighting is going to be critical on this one, but it seems like you've addressed all those to my satisfaction. So I certainly appreciate everyone being here this evening, but I think this was an easier one than perhaps everybody thought. It's a beautiful building. And it seems that the only question I might have, which really doesn't have much to do with the design review, if I may have some latitude here, is that there's still a considerable amount of vacant property. Is there anything that you have planned for the future that you might want to do with this property, or is it just going to remain kind of like storage or something of that nature?
Can you guys hear me? This is Ben Davis with Sonoma PD.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, the district is finding other uses for the, what we thought we might actually surplus property when we initially purchased this lot. So there is a vacant property, but really the master plan is that might become storage yard or even possibly another office in the future, and that use is yet to be determined. So the next sheet over, the match line to the right on this sheet, or to the east, there is some unused property, undeveloped area there. So yeah, the thought practice being, we're gonna have a number of crews up here day one, and that use may grow over the 50-year projection is what we always try to plan for. So that's just set aside for that PUD use. So
okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
So any further questions or comments? Okay, that was fairly simple. I appreciate that. Thank you everyone for being here this evening. And so I guess at this point we will move on to item number 2, which is the Housing Action Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just a brief little update here. This will be coming on our next meeting. The consultant will be here in order to do a presentation for this, and looking towards that meeting, I'd like to get a recommendation from Planning Commission for City Council so that I can move this forward to City Council and to the public hearing for adoption.
Now, did you need any action on this evening, Mark, or did you want to wait till next week for or next meeting for the action?
No, just the action on the next meeting. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention so that if anything were, any questions were out there for people to ask, the next meeting would be the time that those would occur, and an action would be taken at that point in time.
And if I might note to the other commissioners, this is a fairly large document. And I know we've gotten kind of familiar with this over this last several weeks or a few months even. So I think this is going to be one of the final steps for the Planning Commission on the Housing Action Plan, and referring that or to the City Council is going to be the next critical step. Is that right, Mark?
That is correct.
Okay, so recommending that. And so if you haven't had a chance to really get a good deep look at it, now might be your opportunity to go ahead and do that, so that when we bring it up next week, you can have a little more conversation about it. Of course, we're open for conversation this evening as well. So it being at the point, I would like to open it up now to anyone who has any questions or comments on the Housing Action Plan.
I guess,
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I
Jen.
just, thank you. I just wondered if there were any substantive changes from the previous draft that we had looked at a couple months ago.
No, Jan, there aren't. Nothing has come forward in the way of public comment
Okay,
in order to change this. So what you read previously is still intact.
okay, because looking at the new one, it didn't look too much different, but I want to make sure I didn't miss something.
Nope, nothing substantial has occurred.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, what I hope to be able to do next week is perhaps ask the consultant more questions about the logic behind some of these things, and to explain some of the links between the needs assessment and the plan. That it's not that they don't make sense. I just
You want to know
like
the
to
nexus?
yeah, just like to understand their logic. So I assume we're able to do that. The idea isn't to change anything so much as to understand it.
Sure. Nope, that's what this is about. So it's opportunity in order to ask those questions and understand how the document was created and how it will be implemented.
Yeah, because I don't know how specific they will want to get, but things like they do suggest some remedies for affordability and for first-time homeowners. The suggestion is strong, but the financing isn't quite so strong. But I'd like to get some idea of what's been done other places and what they see as a possibility in this community, given, that we aren't Seattle and we aren't Everett.
Right.
Just to get some idea of how realistic they think some of
There's a lot of tools in the toolbox in this plan. So some that, aren't applicable, as you
Yeah.
pointed out, and some that, we really need to focus on in order to be able to implement. So,
well, and questions like why they bring up inclusionary zoning. And I started out being much more positive about that than I am currently, based on what I've seen the actual results of that are, and to get their thinking, because they're obviously more expert
sure.
and have more background in that.
And, and there have been successful inclusionary zoning efforts made. So it all depends on the community, how it's applied, and the success that you're going to gain from that.
Well, more information about why it's worked where it has, and
Whether it's worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Nope, those are great questions.
Thank you. And I do think that Commissioner Thomas, have you joined us?
Yes, I have. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was late.
No, I thought you were trying to get on earlier, but no problem.
Yeah.
Could we show Commissioner Thomas as present at the meeting now, so that even though he wasn't here at roll call? Because did you have any, we were talking a little bit about the PUD building that's coming in. You didn't have much comment about that, did you, Mike?
No.
Okay, and then did you have any comment or questions about the action plan or the housing action plan?
Well, it's difficult to understand how they can do these things. I was listening to what Mark was saying, but it's just hard for me to visualize these concepts of how they can do these things like leveraging things to do different things. And that doesn't work in my mind. The value capture and things like that. It'd be different if I sat down and somebody explained it more than reading through it. It's something that I don't understand.
So Mike, the consultant will be here at our next meeting for a presentation. And so they will
Okay.
be able to provide some more detail into those questions. So definitely
Okay.
take advantage of the opportunity in order to question them on some of these strategies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, perhaps they could answer questions that I'm having a little trouble finding information on it, like for instance, what's the status, if any, of TIF funding in the legislature? I mean, are they expressing any interest in moving? I mean, we're one of the states that don't allow it. I'm just wondering if there's been any change in that.
Right.
Maybe they know more.
And I do share some of the same feelings that you guys are having, is that they're at present, it seems as though a lot of these financing of some of these things, or even a developing fund, places to store funds or things like that, it just, I don't know, it seems a little.
So the one thing I do want to point out, though, remember, this is a long-term strategy. So it's nothing that's going to occur overnight. So there is time for us to be able to look and evaluate what tools we want to use in order to have this action plan initiated. So.
Yeah, and that's the other question I have too, is their long range is 10 years. But in my mind, that's not long rangey enough. That a lot of the development, particularly if we're talking about Smoky Point Boulevard, I don't know if 10-year time frame.
Well, and the premise behind the 10 years is that's your touch point. So as 10 years goes along, you'll be able to come back, reevaluate this and build upon that with a new housing action plan or an updated one. What's worked, what doesn't.
Great.
So one other item I wanted to talk to you about, does anybody have questions on the map that I sent you, the traffic map?
I do.
I know it's not on the agenda, but I just realized that in the email I said we would discuss it tonight.
So I got to go look at it, and then well, I mean, because it's hard to describe without,
Visualizing it, yep.
Yeah. So it only take me a second. I'm just about there. So on the bottom, before it gets to 172nd, the road goes all the way through on the new road that's proposed from 51st, I think it is,
Airport
and then
Boulevard.
goes all the way over to, but then just before it gets there, there's a one that turns and goes that back alley, and then across the road. I was wondering, over by the freeway, and then turns and goes south, and then all the way around and then loops back over to 59. What is that road?
So the
goes
one you're
through-
talking about, the one on the very bottom, Mike,
Yes.
that is the 169th, 168th alignment. So at the Lowe's intersection on Smoky Point Boulevard,
Yeah.
that roadway section for the Affinity project has already been constructed.
Yes.
So that's 169th. It will come all the way up to 43rd, which is by Walmart. That'll be the city's responsibility to build that portion.
Okay.
And then the portion from 43rd all the way out to 51st is all developer born.
Okay. But the one that's confusing to me is the part that's east of Smoky Point Boulevard that goes over next to the freeway. And it's kind of a bulby looking thing up there.
That's above on the north side of 172nd.
Yes.
That is Smoky Point Drive that takes you in around that little commercial area. So there's a
Okay,
VA
so there's that,
Center.
yep.
Yep. So that's what
But
that's
it didn't,
about.
but it doesn't cross 172nd. I mean, there's no way you can get across there. Not even a chicken or a possum or anything can cross there.
Correct.
You
And
know.
it's not meant to. It's meant to be both a right in, right out.
Okay, that was what was confusing. That part right there. The rest of it I had figured out. But that piece, I was like, what the heck? That road don't go through there.
Nope, there's still a
Okay.
center in there, but what it does is it gives you an alternate route around the Smoky Point 172nd intersection.
Okay.
So you can start to relieve some of the smaller vehicle traffic at that intersection and give it a better lifetime there. Whereas your level of service could increase because you're not clogging it up with all of the additional small vehicles here. So if you
So
have
the
a way
road.
to- Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the road then from 172nd behind Tractor Supply in the Lowe's parking lot, isn't that a private road?
It is, yes. We're just showing
Okay.
alternate routes there. We'd have to negotiate with, to do that.
All right.
But
Okay. Those are the confusing things to me. All right. Now I know.
yeah,
I got it.
but we're showing where this traffic could be routed in order to
Yeah.
alleviate some of the pressure on that intersection.
Okay.
So when you come off of I-5, heading
Yeah, you
east
could-
to 172nd, you're already in a right turn lane automatically.
Correct.
So then you could just continue down there. Then that brings you up and lines you up with the 169th, which would then bring
Exactly.
you all the way over to 59th eventually. Yes.
Yeah. It made sense. It was just like that. I thought those were private roads, so that's why, you know.
No, they are. So yeah, we just didn't identify them as private, but we're just showing that as potential routes.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, that's, you asked if we could add any questions. That was it.
Oh, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
So,
I don't really have a question much on this, Mark. I have kind of a commendation on the fact that we're going to take the bulk of that, truck traffic off of the 172nd and put it, basically, if it's going to be going, let's say, northbound on I-5 and putting it up onto Airport Boulevard, then cruising down to 188th, from 188th, then north on Smoky Point Boulevard out to the intersection there or out to Island Crossing. So that would take a big amount of traffic off of that intersection as well, right? And then
Correct. It's just a matter of providing more choices so that you can distribute your traffic out instead of having just one or two locations for traffic to travel on.
And another one commendation maybe is that, not that this is our goal, is to have a lot of smaller vehicle traffic coming in to go to the buildings or to the CIC. We'd rather have other people living close by, but the actual employee traffic might even diverting it the way that you talked about over onto 169th and so on, then going up into the CIC from there.
Right.
It would, I think a lot of the employees there would probably appreciate taking that route as opposed to trying to fight all the traffic going up through 172nd.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
that takes care of some of that. So
it does. It just alleviates some of the pressure that we're seeing. I mean, when you've only provided one route to I-5 back and forth, there has to be a way to relieve that impact and distribute traffic differently. So this is just our attempt at looking at that to move it forward, as opposed to just saying, no, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, there are things we can do about it.
And
Well,
it sounds to me like somebody's doing something about it. So
Well, and I think it's more important than just relieving traffic. I think because of that route, it creates a much stronger argument for the boulevard out Smoky Point that its function is not so much to move traffic as it is to be local serving. There will certainly be through traffic, but the way that boulevard is constructed, it's more of a local serving street
Correct.
than a road, which is a way of getting from one place to another place. It's a street, which gets you to the place, which is Smoky Point Boulevard. So Yeah, I think without that, without that bypass, the argument would have been far more difficult for 2 lanes rather than 4.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
significant.
I agree. So, any further questions about the road plan?
And we're still continuing to update this, and so I actually have an updated one here. So I'll keep planning commission informed and send out the newest version.
Thank you, Mark. So at this time, I would defer to Kristen. Do we have any public comment this evening?
There are no public comments this evening.
Very well. Well, this was a fairly quick meeting. I appreciate it. So I guess at this time, Chair requests a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor?
I,
No opposed? Thank you very much. Again, thanks for being here this evening, everybody. Appreciate it. And looks like we got some homework to do before we start on our meeting next week. So thanks again. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
I,
Bye.